She's passionate about cheering on entrepreneurs and knows sometimes that it takes a second set of eyes to remind you that you're creating something truly incredible. So with that, Emily, you're up.
Thank you. Good morning, everybody. Can everyone hear me okay? Great. So I know Christina asked, but I just want to see everybody's hands again. How many of you are using TikTok for your business? And keep those hands up if you are actually posting videos to your account. Great, amazing. We love to see it. By the end, I'm sure we'll see some more hands. We're going to go rogue for a minute before I dive into my slides. I've had some really amazing conversations this morning with a few of you, and I was getting the same question over and over. And so if I'm hearing it, I'm sure many of you in the room may be having the same question. And it's, should I be using TikTok for my business, or do I need to be concerned about data and privacy? That's a question that I've heard a lot. And if you are already using any other social media out there. So I saw when Christina asked, hands go up for everything, Facebook, Instagram, Pinterest. If you're using social media, your data is already out there. There is no risk to joining TikTok. It's no different than the information that you're giving to websites that you're training your algorithms, the ads that you're receiving that's pulling all your data. So those ads you see on Facebook and Instagram, all your data is out there. TikTok is no different. So it's just as safe as any of the other platforms that you're using. And we're going to talk about how to use the platform to reach your ideal client. And we're going to talk about some more TikTok misconceptions and what your audience is looking for. Where are they on TikTok? How are they using TikTok? How are they buying as a generation? What does that consumer behavior look like? And then we're going to dive into what to actually post. What content should we be putting up on TikTok to reach Gen Z, to reach our ideal client? So I could stand up here and I could tell you all about what TikTok is, and I'm sure many of you are familiar. It's a content platform focused primarily on short form video, so video that's under a minute. But it has long form capability. It's testing out right now longer videos, so you could post right now a video up to 10 minutes. I necessarily wouldn't recommend it, but people are doing it, and it has photo ability as well. But standing up here and telling you all the things that TikTok is not going to be as helpful as if I stand up here and tell you all the things that TikTok is not. So the first thing that it's not is it's not a dancing app. I know that that's what so many people think about TikTok, because when TikTok was coming to fruition and was getting more and more popular in the beginning of COVID, that's a lot of the content that we were seeing come out of it, of course. But you never have to dance on TikTok. If that is a fear of yours, I'm not stopping you. I'm all here for a TikTok dance. I love to do them in the privacy of my own home. You're not going to see them on my TikTok either, and I'm not going to stop you from doing them at your home. But for your business, that's not what people are looking for, so don't feel like that's the kind of content you need to be making. It's also not just an app for teens. Again, the viral TikTok dances that we were seeing come out in the early 2020s, 2021, a lot of teenagers. And teenagers, while they will one day be your customers, are not your customers right now. And that's okay, because there are so many more people on TikTok than just teenagers. We're going to dive into that. The TikTok CEO has said that the average TikTok user is well past college age. So think about graduating college, maybe 21, 22, well past that. In fact, the average age of people getting married is also well past college age, as we know. According to the 2022 census, the average age for women getting married was 28.6, men was 30.5. Pretty similar to what we're going to see for how people are using TikTok. But before we dive into that, I want to just make sure that we're all on the same page when I start using generational terms. Who does that apply to? So Gen Z was born between 1997 and 2012. So this year, they're turning anywhere from 12 years old to 26 years old. And now, while we might hear 12 and think, oh, they're still children, we're also hearing 26. They're adults with adult jobs and adult money, getting married and spending that adult money on things like their wedding. Millennials were born between 1981 and 1996 and are turning anywhere between 27 and 43. So you can see that those two generations are really straddling that median age of getting married of 28 and 30. We're going to be focusing on Gen Z, but also millennial behavior on TikTok as well. Let's talk about where we're seeing these demographics on TikTok. And then we're going to get ready to do some math. So everybody pull your phone calculators out. So 18% of women ages 18 to 24 are using TikTok. TikTok users, 18% of TikTok users, not 18% of women, 18% of TikTok users are women ages 18 to 24. 18.6% of men ages 18 to 24, a little bit smaller, but not by much when we get into millennials. 15% of TikTok users are women between the ages of 25 and 34. Same with men. So when you put all that together, you're looking at, I think it's about 69%. That is the majority of people on TikTok are exactly in the age bracket of most of your ideal clients. And so this is where the math comes in. We're going to focus on women ages 18 to 24. That's where we really want to be instilling that brand awareness right now about wedding dresses. So if we're going to focus just on that one demographic, there are 1.5 billion monthly users on TikTok. What is 18% of that? Who's gonna get me the math first on that one? 18% of 1.5 billion.
240 million?
So yes, it's a little bit more than that, but that's a pretty hefty number if we want to just focus on just that. 48% of Gen Z used TikTok to plan their wedding. So who wants to get me 48% of that 250-ish million number? Anyone? Right. 125 million women ages 18 to 24 alone are going to be using TikTok to help plan their wedding. And if that's the only demographic you focus on, that's going to bring in a lot of customers for you. But we know that we're focusing on all genders and demographics because we're looking at people who have dresses, we're looking at people who have tuxedos, we're looking at people who have children that have christening gowns that they want made out of their wedding dress or they want preserved after their christening. We're looking at a lot of people, but almost half of Gen Z is using TikTok to plan their wedding. And that is a really important piece of information that we want to hold on to during this presentation because your people are there. I don't want us to discredit those outside of the age brackets that we're talking about. We've been talking about people 18 to 34, but we also want to make sure that we're reaching people who are older, maybe they're parents of people who are getting married and they want to continue that tradition of preserving a dress and they want to buy that for their child. Maybe they want to buy a gift certificate from you and they want to know about your business. Or we want to make sure that we're also focusing on those teenagers. We're not ruling out those 12-year-olds from Gen Z. Well, the 12-year-olds maybe because they shouldn't be on TikTok. You're supposed to be 13 to set up an account, but they are on there. The children are on there, they're using it, they know what's going on. But we don't want to rule out those high school students because brand awareness starts at such a young age. Think about when you were a little kid, you were like 2 or 3, and you got hurt, and you're like, I need a Band-Aid. You were aware, Band-Aid's a brand, I need a Band-Aid. When I was growing up, the wedding industry brand awareness was instilled in me early. Like as a kid, I watched TV, I loved commercials, and if you asked me as a child, I would tell you, well, when you get married, you get an engagement ring from Kay Jewelers because every kiss begins with K. And then you get your wedding dress from David's Bridal because they have that $99 sale that they advertise on TV. Wedding dresses are so cheap, $99, great. Then I grow up and that's what I do when I get married. That brand awareness, it's getting there. So don't just focus on the people who are getting married right now. We want to focus on instilling that brand awareness as well with the people that are seeing content on TikTok. I see comments on videos about wedding, all kinds of wedding content on TikTok. Photographers, planners, people sharing tips. And so many comments so often are people being like, I'm tragically single, but I love this and I'm saving it for when I one day find somebody. So many people are commenting that. They have no need for that now, but it made an impact on them and they want to remember it. They want to save that content. They want to store it and think back on it when it's their time to get married. We want that for all of you. We want people to think, when I get married, this is what I want to do with my dress, or this is what I want to do to preserve the legacy of my tuxedo. They're not even waiting, though, till they get engaged. 29% of Gen Z couples researched wedding vendors before they even got engaged, according to the Knot study that came out this year. Looking at the couples that they surveyed from last year, 29% of them were like, I'm getting ready to plan this wedding that doesn't even exist yet. I don't have a date, I don't have a venue, but I know that this is what I want and I need to figure out what it's gonna cost. So we want people to be searching for that, for what you offer. We want them to know, I need that when I get married. I don't know when I'm getting married, but when I do, I need to bring my dress to someone This is the biggest misconception that I think a lot of people are surprised by, is that TikTok is actually not a social media. It gets grouped in with social media so often because we're talking about Facebook and Instagram and TikTok, and it just flows right in. And if you came to me and you called TikTok a social media, I wouldn't tell you that you're wrong. So much of it is. But TikTok is actually a search engine, and it is performing at the level of Google. 64% of Gen Z consumers are using TikTok as a search engine. And I don't mean that as in they're going there to, look for sources for their history paper for school. They're not trying to search that kind of information. They're searching everything else in their lives. They're searching workout plans and fitness. They're searching fashion inspiration. They're searching for inspiration for when they go to get their hair done. They're showing videos. This is what I want. They're looking for literally everything, including wedding planning content, as we know. So they are coming to TikTok oftentimes more than Google. And that's not the only place that TikTok is outranking Google for search. It's actually outranking Google as a domain as well. TikTok.com is outranking Google.com. People are using it to search. Now, let's dive deep into the search for wedding gown preservation specifically. What are people searching for when it comes to everything that you offer? What are they finding? It's about research, and this is ongoing research that I heavily encourage all of you to do on your own. Set up your TikTok accounts. If you take one thing away from today, so if you're not listening, come back to me. If you take one thing away from today, it is to go on TikTok and to claim the handle for your business. If you are not ready to use TikTok now, I understand, but you will one day. It's like Instagram, it's like Facebook. When they came about and they were getting bigger, there was pushback. People were like, I don't need this for my business. This other platform's working for me, I don't know. And then over time, they're like, okay, this isn't going anywhere. I really need that Instagram. And if you go on Instagram and your handle's gone for your business, what do? I've seen it happen. Now, I've seen it happen to big wedding planners. Now, I have a friend, she plans weddings. She's got a very big business. She pushed back on TikTok for a very long time. She was finally like, okay, I know I need to do it. Her handle was gone. It's owned by an earring company on TikTok, and people are mistagging her on Instagram all the time because of it. So if you take one thing away, open those TikTok apps, download those TikTok apps if you don't have them. Open the TikTok app, find the handle for your business, and hold on to it. Even if you don't want it until next year, that's a 2025 goal for you, that's okay. But you don't want it to be gone when you're ready, because it's going to create a brand that maybe isn't aligned if everything else in your business has the same name. So I did the preliminary research for you. Again, things are always changing, so I do encourage you to check back regularly, but I started the search for you. And here's what we're going to find about the conversations that are happening on TikTok. And I want you to stay with me on this because I know that some of it may seem a little scary, but we're going to. I talk about why it's not, and we're going to identify what conversations are happening. So I searched for wedding dress preservation on TikTok. When you do a search on TikTok, it's going to show you the top videos. Underneath that, it's going to show you what others are searching for, and we'll talk more about that later on. It's also going to show you videos, users by that name. So if your TikTok handle is something similar, it's going to show you a whole bunch of things. But I watched a lot of those videos. I fell down the rabbit hole, and I was consuming all of the content. And here's kind of the consensus of what I was finding when I searched specifically for wedding dress preservation. A lot of people are opting not to preserve. But that's not because they don't want to. It's because of the information that they're getting. A lot of people are going with mail-in companies. As you know, I'm not going to name names. You're going to see a lot of the same companies that people are using on TikTok to ship their dress off and get it back. I'm also seeing a lot of disappointment. And this is coming from a couple videos that I've seen several times that I don't want to say it went viral because the whole internet isn't seeing them, but in this corner of wedding cleaning, post-wedding dress content, there were two that really stood out to me that I was seeing a lot. The first was a woman who was ready to wear her mom's wedding dress. Her mom's wedding dress had been preserved 40 years ago. She'd never opened it. She got it out of the closet. The daughter opened it. There was nothing in there. They had stuffed that box with paper to give it weight, and there was no dress in there. Devastation. And people are panicked. People are responding to that video. They're like, how do I know? People are making videos. They're like, now I feel like I have to go open mine. I have to go look. Did they give me my whole dress? What's underneath that window? What am I seeing? So there was disappointment. There was another woman whose video was getting a lot of traction because she did look at the dress that she got back, and all of the buttons had been cut off. Every button in the sleeve, the little hooks were still on there, but there were no buttons. And that kind of content is taking space. It's outweighing from the conversation because people are starting to get nervous. How do I know? If I send my dress off to be preserved, what am I getting? What am I getting back? Am I allowed to open it? What do I do when I get it back? Can I look at that? That kind of education and information I wasn't finding. I wasn't finding answers to those questions that people were having. There's also conversations about cost that, again, I wasn't finding that education on, and that's where you're going to come in and we're going to talk about that kind of content as we go, what people really need from you, because people are talking, it's expensive. I was able to just ship it off for so much less than my local place, but why is that? I couldn't find any answers on TikTok for what goes into that cost and why it's worth it. We know it's worth it. We know it's worth it to work with all of you, but people on TikTok don't know what they don't know. And if this is what they're searching for, that 48% of people that's searching on TikTok for things for their wedding, if this is what they're finding, they're not sure. And we want you all there to answer those questions. I also searched wedding dress cleaning, figuring people need to at least get it cleaned before they get it preserved. Some people are doing absolutely nothing with it. There's a very famous influencer right now. She made a video recently that she had a dress, not a wedding dress, just like a regular going out dress. She's like, I threw up on that dress and I put it back in my closet for a year. People aren't even cleaning things. So we searched that too. I found a lot of unboxing videos. People love an unboxing. If you've been on YouTube for a while, people love to watch other people open boxes. So think about what your packaging looks like. People want to watch that. People want to see reactions. They want to see what they're getting. People love it. I was seeing bridal salons. Bridal salons are coming in to add to the conversation. They're talking about how to preserve dresses that they're selling. They're talking about, can you bring it back to them to get it cleaned? They're adding their voices to this conversation about cleaning. And I'm seeing a lot of DIY. TikTokers, and Gen Z especially, they love to DIY. It's in the top searches. If you look at all the categories that get searched on TikTok regularly, what can they do themselves? Also, people love to watch things get cleaned. I don't know if anybody watches TikTok videos of things get cleaned like I do. I see some nods. Yes, it is so satisfying and wonderful, and I can't explain why, but watching people like strip their dress or clothes, or people that are watching, like cleaning pillows on couches, people love that, and they want to do it themselves. They want to throw their wedding dress in the bathtub with the borax and all the chemicals that they need, and people love to see that dirty water that came out of their wedding dress. But why should they not be doing that? Or should they? We don't know, because that educational content, that's what was missing. But 46% of couples preserved their dress last year, according to the Knot study that just came out this month. So it's not like people aren't doing it. It's not like DIY has taken over and they're not coming to you. Obviously, they're coming to you. You're getting business. That's why you're here. But we want more people to come to you. We want more people to know about you. And so how are they finding you if the conversation looks like DIY on TikTok, looks like certain companies where we just ship it off to them and they ship it back? There's a gap that's needing to be filled. I've said it and I'm going to keep saying it. When I search for things, I want to be finding all of you. I want to be finding out specifically about your association. There's so much that all of you offer that you can't get with those other companies. And I want to know about that. If I'm coming just to TikTok, I'm never going to learn about that. I'm not going to learn that all of you work together, and that if I move and something happens to my dress, somebody else in my new state is going to honor that guarantee that somebody else made, because you're all part of the same association. I couldn't find any education about the Association of Wedding Gown Specialists, and that's a bummer, because you guys are offering some really, really amazing things, and people need to know about it. They need to know about your museum care and what does that look like. They need to know about what it is that they can get specifically from you. So how do we connect with Gen Z? How do we give them content that they actually want to learn from, and make sure that we are answering the questions that they have? It's about building that like, know, and trust factor. I cannot stress this to you enough. Another thing, I said there was only one thing I wanted you to take away, and it was to get your TikTok handle, but if you take one more thing away, it is that you need to build that like, know, and trust factor with your audience. They need to know that they can trust you. How do I know that you're not going to stuff my dress box with paper and give it back to me? How do I know you're not going to cut those buttons off my dress? How do I know what happens to my dress when I give it to you? I may have just spent the most money I've ever spent on a piece of clothing ever in my life. I have to trust you to give that to you. That's so scary, right? People are spending thousands of dollars on something, and they're never gonna wear it again, and they have spent their hard-earned money on that, and I'm just supposed to hand it over to somebody that I don't know? I need to be able to trust you with something that's so, so important. And we're gonna talk about how you build that trust through a screen, because we can do it, right? We can build that trust through social media. It's absolutely possible, and we're gonna talk about the content to do that. Gen Z is looking for inclusive content. Statistically, it is so much more important to them than any generation before, and we need to make sure that we're adapting. And there are several ways to do that. This could be an entire talk in itself, and it should be, but a few of the ways that we can be more inclusive is to stop using bridegroom language. We don't want to just assume that brides are wearing dresses or that someone identifies as a bride. Same with grooms and tuxedos. We have mixed gender wedding parties. We have men that are wearing wedding dresses. We have women that are wearing tuxes to their wedding. So we never want to use that kind of language. Gen Z will not respond to that. It's not inclusive, it's not welcoming, and it's not accurate. When it comes to preserving wedding dresses, another way that we want to make sure that we're creating an inclusive narrative is to meet them where they're at. So much of the conversation around preserving your wedding dress is often, well, I want to be able to pass it down to my kids, or I want to be able to, have my daughter wear it when she walks down the aisle, or take part of it and put it into her dress. But Gen Z is not having children anywhere near other generations. And so if you come in and you're like, well, you should get your dress cleaned and preserved because you'll want to pass it down to your kids. So they're like, I don't want to have a child, so I don't need to do that. But there's so many other reasons, right? There's so many other reasons we want to preserve that and have it cleaned. We want to meet them where they're at. A lot of them are selling their wedding dresses. Money is hard, and they don't need it. They're not going to wear it again. They're not going to pass it on to their child. So why do we need to get it cleaned right away to make sure that we can, make a better sale? Are we going to get more money for it? We want to include what's really happening in the conversation, because it is a reality, right? We're not going to get everybody to preserve their dress. We're not going to get everybody to hold on to that memory forever. But how can we bring in those people that are going to sell it, or they are going to donate it? We want them to still get it cleaned. So we want to be creating content that is inclusive and accurate to what Gen Z is doing with their wedding fashion. We need to be authentic. We need to be honest, but we also need to be real to ourselves and stay on brand. And for many of us, that looks like not doing TikTok dances. That's not on brand for us. But when it comes to Gen Z, I think what scares so many of us is I don't understand half of what they're saying. I don't get that lingo. I don't get, what does Riz mean when they say that? No one knows. Who knows? Do I have to learn that in order to talk to them? No. And they're going to see right through that if you do. If you show up on TikTok and you start spewing out this lingo that you heard about online, or you went on Urban Dictionary and you're like, well, I know the kids are using this, so I'm going to say it too. It's not helping the conversation with them. It's hurting it. So we want to stay authentic to ourselves. I'm not asking you to be anybody that you're not on TikTok. I'm asking you to show up as you are on the platform and show all the amazing things that you offer. Now, it does mean maybe adapting to their video styles, like Christina mentioned. We don't need a video that's a minute and a half long when we can say what we need to say in 20 seconds, because we need to meet them at their attention span. They're not going to pay attention for a minute and 30 seconds when you're getting really into the details about what it looks like to preserve a dress. But we can show them in 15 seconds, and we can give them a short little blip. But we need to make sure that we're staying authentic to ourselves, not trying to get hip with the terms. We need to adapt. Like I said, we need to continue doing that research because trends are changing. Gen Z, we have a lot of statistics on them because, again, more than half of them are over the age of 18. They're adults, they have money, they have jobs. But so many of them aren't in control of their own decisions. They're in control of a lot. They're in control of their opinions and how they consume information, but they're 12, they're 13, they're 15, they're getting their first job. They don't have the same kind of money and buying power that people who are 25, 26, working 40 hours a week do. And so as Gen Z continues to get older, these trends are going to shift. You may even see that stats that are 64%, that might get higher because maybe some of these These kids don't even have smartphones because their parents won't let them, because their parents are in control. So we want to make sure that you're staying up with this research on your own. This is a great baseline, but check in next year. Check in on these studies, check in on these trends. Are they the same? What's getting higher? What are people more invested in? And we're going to need to adapt our content accordingly every year. It's not going to be a huge shift, but everything's changing. I mean, if you looked back a few years ago, we wouldn't even have been talking about TikTok because people were really consuming Instagram and Reels wasn't a thing, and we weren't talking as much about this short form video. And when we were talking about Snapchat. But Snapchat isn't going to be what we're talking about right now for business. Businesses are using it, but that's not what I'm going to stand up here and recommend for you. I'm going to talk about TikTok because that's where people are. That's where your clients are. What content should we be posting on there? So we've talked about what people are looking for. We've talked about how they're searching. We've talked about the fact that we know that they're searching, they're coming. So what are we posting for them to actually find us and actually want to engage in the content that you're putting out? We're going to start by talking about content types and video styles before we dive into actual ideas of what your videos are going to be about, of what you're going to put into ChatGPT, like Christina said, like what are those videos going to be about? But before we can do any of that, we're going to talk about what types of videos there are. So there's 4 main types of content typically that a video would fall into, and sometimes it can be more than one. It can overlap. But it's educational. People are leaving that video 10, 15 seconds, a minute later, and they've learned something. They've learned how to get a stain out of a dress on their wedding day so that it's easier for you to get out when they bring it to get cleaned. They've learned that they can bring their dress in several years later if they forgot to get it cleaned, or they've learned what it's going to look like if they drop their dress off to be preserved and how they're going to get it back. They need to have some kind of takeaway or something that they've learned. Or they've been entertained. Comedic content, something that's entertaining, that's a type of video that people enjoy consuming. I'm not saying to get up here and tell jokes and do a stand-up routine. Again, we're staying on brand. We're staying on what's right for us. If you're funny and that's your brand, absolutely. But don't try to be like, I have to tell a joke because I need to entertain the people on TikTok. Unnecessary. Transformational. This is going to be a big one for all of you. Before and afters, people love them. They want to see real results. That's how we're building trust. I need to know that this dress is going to look like this when I bring it in, and it's going to look like this when I bring it home. And that is into getting real deep with making sure that the photos look the same. We don't want it to be like weight loss commercials where you're like, that doesn't even look like the same person. I think that's a different model. We want it to be like, this is the dress that they brought in. I can very clearly see that there is a giant red wine stain down the front because we had a good time that night. And when they picked it up, that red wine stain is gone. And trend content. This goes back to those viral dances, those audios that you're hearing on TikTok that people are using. These are the main 4. I'm not saying you need to use all of them by any means. We just want our videos to fall into at least one. For all of you in the room, educational and transformational are going to be the most powerful because it's going to create that trust when people can see results, when they can learn from you, when they know that you're going to show up and give them information. But that's not to say that you can't be humorous while you do it or that you can't use a trending audio and find a way to jump in there. So, continue to consume content and see what people are posting, but stay true to who you are. Video styles. Videos are going to fall into 3 main types. I've used myself as an example. The first one's going to be showcasing your work. That's going to be videos of what you're preserving. That's going to be videos of, not just wedding dresses. There's so much more that you offer, and I'm not saying to just show up on TikTok and only talk about the wedding capacity of it. You offer so many services. Let people know about those, especially if they've brought a wedding dress to you. They're not a one-and-done customer. They're going to have clothing to bring back to you. They might have quilts or things that need to be cleaned. They're maybe they are going to have children, and they're going to have those heirlooms they want to bring back. So showcasing your work is very powerful. As is breaking the fourth wall. This is a term, if any of you have watched The Office or if you watch Abbott Elementary, it's when you look directly into the camera. We don't see that a lot when we're watching TV. We don't see the actors looking us directly in the eye through the screen. But on TikTok, that's what people love. That's how we connect. That's the power. It's like what we're doing right now here in person, but through a very small screen. I'm looking at you. We're having a conversation on that platform. I'm not there with you. I'm off working on my wedding dresses and doing my job, but right now you and I are having conversation because you found me on TikTok. That is the most powerful. That's what I would recommend for all of you, but I know some people are not feeling comfortable on camera. It's something that we have to work to. So how do we supplement that content? Well, we showcase our work or we use B-roll footage. Maybe you've been filming. I saw hands go up earlier when you were talking about people having video. Some of you have video already. I'm not sure where you're putting it or what you're already doing with it, but you can use that content as background. You can put text over the screen. Maybe you're filming a hyperlapse video, you know, those really sped up ones. Maybe you're filming that while you're working on a dress or while you're cleaning a specific detail of it. That's B-roll footage that doesn't need audio. We don't need to hear what you're doing. We just need to put it behind it and explain it with a little text or share a quick tip. Honestly, I wouldn't even put that much text, and that's my own video. So do as I say, not as I do. Don't put that much. We just need a little clip of text to get people involved. So we really want to be breaking the fourth wall as much as possible, but I know that that's not what we have time for every day, and so there are other wonderful ways to showcase content. Diving into each one a little bit more specifically, showcasing your work, like I said, before and after a preservation. We want to see those results. Make sure that you're always capturing all of that content before you give a dress back. Make sure that you're taking photos of it as soon as it comes in. Step-by-step process. This one scares people because they're like, I don't want to give away all of the information. This is what makes me special. This is what I'm doing. But when you really show what goes into it, that's when people are really going to be invested in what you offer. They're going to see how much work goes into it. They're going to understand why it costs what it costs, because people, real humans, are working on this, and they're doing so much work. And you're doing things that they can't do at home. They can't get those stains out, or they would have done it themselves. Details up close. It could be a video of you sewing a few of those beads back on that started to get a little loose, and we want to tighten that up before we lose them all. That's it. That's the video. Just an up-close detail so people really understand. Well, so people really understand what's happening. Sharing tips, telling stories. People love stories. It's what they connect with the most. How many of you are asking any kind of stories about a couple's wedding when they bring in any of their attire? Anybody? I see a few hands. Great. How can we leverage those stories? We'll go back to the wine example that I used. So let's say Susie brings her dress in and it's covered in a red wine stain because Susie and her friends, they had a great time on the dance floor, and they, this wedding was so energetic, and we're talking about that, and we're talking about what it looked like, and then we're talking about, how we were able to get that wine stain out, and then maybe we have a photo of Susie picking up her dress and how happy she is, and she can't believe that stain is actually gone. We want to tell stories about people. I see brands using this. I watched a TikTok video recently. A small child had left their stuffed animal at a hotel, and the parent had called and was like, can we get that mailed back to us? And the hotel said, of course, absolutely. And the hotel mailed it back, and they had posed the stuffed animal around the hotel. It was working at the front desk. It was at the pool. It was doing things, and they'd taken photos, and they told a little story about what this animal had been doing while it was in their care before they mailed it back. What kind of stories can we be telling about what's happening to our dresses? Like I said, if you have B-roll, great. Making lists, sharing tips, highlighting trends. If you see a trend, maybe you're seeing the same kind of dress come in over and over. You're like, this dress, you're hooking them in early. They're looking for dresses, and they're like, oh, this ball gowns are really trending right now because we've been seeing a lot of them come in to get preserved. We can highlight any kind of observations that we're making with this kind of video. I don't want to rule out photos, because photo carousels, while not the primary form of TikTok content, is becoming so powerful. And how many of you have way more photos of your business than you have video? Many of you. So I don't want you to not be able to post on TikTok because you're like, I feel like I don't have enough video content. You can post right now because there are photos. And what do we do with that? Photo carousels on TikTok, we want several photos. It's not like Instagram where you want to just put up one photo, or sometimes people are doing carousels on Instagram. We want a lot of photos. We want to tell a story, and we want to be able to swipe through it. Gen Z loves to be able to swipe at the pace that they want because they want content and they want it fast. And so if we can explain all the details, that what went into something, a photo of that piece of clothing at every step in the restoration process. People can go through the entire journey. We want to know the journey that our dress is taking, and people will connect with that. They'll connect with it. They want to follow their own dress story. If I give my dress to you and I've seen that you're going to show me what it went through while it was in your care, I'm going to want to bring that to you. I'm going to want to watch that about my own dress. I've seen people do that with packaging videos, small businesses and packaging videos, much like an unboxing. First, we got to see it go in the box. Then we got to watch people take it out. And people want to watch their orders get packed. I watch people go live on TikTok for hours because customers are showing up and they want to watch you pack their order. Sticker shops, they're really big with doing that. People put their order number in the chat and they'll make a video of them packing up your order. People want to watch that. They want to know what's happening to their stuff. That could be a photo carousel. Oh. We just got a little louder there. I see a hand up in the back. We have plenty of time for questions at the end, so I'd love for you to hold on to that as I might answer it. I'm hearing some feedback. I don't really know what's changed here, but we're gonna roll with it. We want people to have a takeaway from every video. We want them to feel educated. We want them to feel entertained. We want to be able to create connection with them. Oh, that's better. Thank you. What are they going to take away from each video? There's got to be something. They need to have learned something. They need to have had an entertaining moment, or they need to have felt more connected to you as the business. Keep your videos succinct. Going back to what Christina said, you can say it in 90 seconds, but you can say it shorter. You have so much to say, and the beauty of that is that if you have so much to say, that's more videos. Gen Z does not want one big 2-minute video. They would rather have that video in like 8 pieces, 8 15-second pieces. They don't want to watch all 2 minutes of that. It doesn't perform well, it doesn't work. In your analytics, when you dive into that on TikTok, you're going to see the drop-off is going to be staggering of people who just don't have that attention span, especially for something that they're not sure yet still if they need. Should I be getting my dress cleaned? Should I be getting it preserved? I don't know. You want to keep it as short as possible. Get to the point, move on. Get to the point in your next video. If you have 2 minutes of stuff to say, that's great. You've just batched out content for a couple weeks by making those into short little videos. So what are we actually going to post? This is where the notepads are going to come out. We're going to start talking about ideas of what you can post. If you're like, I'm ready to post on TikTok, I just don't know what I'm supposed to actually say. What do I show up and talk about while I'm there? The 5+5 method is my go-to. It's what I tell all of my clients. It's what I would recommend for you. If you have your pen out and ready to go, I want you to write down 5 of the most frequently asked questions that you get in your business. You already have an FAQ page maybe. What are 5 questions that are on there? If you have more than 5, great. That's more content ideas. And then I want you to write down 5 questions that you wish that people were asking. Do you wish that they were asking when they bring their dress in because maybe it's harder to clean? Is it harder to get a stain out 20 years later than it is the next day? You wish they'd asked that because then maybe they would have brought it in a lot earlier, would have made the results better. You wish that they were asking what to do the day of their wedding if they spill, because if they get the stain out in a certain way, it might make it easier for you to get it out the rest of the way. What do you want them to be asking? So once you have this list of 10, and I'm gonna give you a second so I can take a sip of water, but those are 10 videos right there. Each question is its own video that you can answer quick and to the point. Let TikTok do your research. If you're feeling stumped on what to post, if you're feeling like I can't think of any FAQs, ChatGPT is down because I have the free version and I can't make a video right now and I don't know what to search for, let TikTok do the research for you. It already is. It's already telling you what people are searching for. Earlier, when I showed you those screenshots when I had searched for wedding dress preservation and wedding dress cleaning, underneath those videos I said that it had things that other people searched for. Others searched for. So I'm going to go through these right now. TikTok just gave me this for free. It's like the people are also searching for these things. Have you thought about this? We're going to talk about video ideas for every single one of them right now. DIY dress preservation and wedding dress preservation. Talk about why that's maybe not a good idea for them. Talk about what materials that can work for and that can't work for. Again, not every video needs to be the sales pitch for your business. If you feel like they have a dress made out of a certain material, and that's totally fine for them to just wash in their bathtub, especially if they're like, I don't think I'm gonna wear it again. Maybe they got just like, a short dress that was like $50 online. Teach them that they can wash that at home. Be that resource that they can trust. They can trust you. Oh, she's not just trying to sell me on getting everything I own dry cleaned. Great, I'm gonna come back for content when I know that I need to get something professionally cleaned. Wedding dress display in closet. Can you display your dress in a closet? What does that look like? How should you hang it? Can I display a dress I've had preserved that's already in a box? There's 4 separate videos right there based on that one search topic on TikTok. Make something out of my dress. Do you help people do that? Do you help people if they say, I have my parents' outfits and I want parts of those cut and put in my dress? Do you help people do that? If they say, I only want part of this dress preserved because I'm gonna cut the top off and the skirt I'm gonna give to my niece because she wants to put it in her dress. Wedding dress preserved jean jacket. This was a big one. People love a jean jacket on their wedding day with a wedding dress. Do you clean jean jackets? Can you offer some kind of special? We're gonna preserve your dress, but we'll also deep clean that jacket that you wore on your wedding day. We'll do it as a bundle. This is the pricing for that. Wedding dress preservation frame. Can you frame your dress? If it's already in the box, when I get it back, can I change that? Can I do anything else with that? Can I display it a different way? Answer those questions. People have them, they're searching for them. They want those answers from you. Because right now, like I said, bridal salons are showing up, but most of the content you're finding is from other people who have gone through it. And that's great, they have firsthand experience, but they're not the experts in that service. You are, and we want them to find you and what you have to give them. Can you reconstruct a wedding dress? If I got married down in the Bahamas and I shoved that dress back into my suitcase and I was done, I wore it and I crumpled it back up, can you bring that boning back to life? Can you give it shape again? Talk about that. Talk about how they need to treat their dress between the day of their wedding and when they bring it back to you. And repurposing. Talk about other ways that they can use their dress. Like I said, not everybody wants to take care of the dress because they don't see a way to rewear it. They don't see anybody that they're going to pass it on to. They don't see a way to repurpose it. Talk about how they can repurpose it. Can they turn it into a shorter dress that they can wear for a special occasion and it won't look silly, it won't look like a wedding dress? Talk about, can I cut it down and make it into decorative pillows for my house? Can I repurpose that dress and turn it into whatever it is that you offer that they can do with it? Give them ideas of ways to repurpose it. We can keep going. TikTok's given us all the ideas because if you scroll down further, it's going to show you more videos, and then there's going to be another section of things that other people searched for. They are trying to get you to create content. They want you there. People want this information. We can keep going. I could go all day giving you ideas about what you could be posting. Can I get a wedding dress preserved from 1991? Is that too late? I just found my mom's dress from that year in my closet, and I really like to wear it, but it's pretty yellow. Can you save it? We're seeing other companies come up. I would love to go on TikTok in the next few months, in the next year. I would love to go on there and have these say others search for Wedding Dress Preservation Association of Wedding Gown Specialists. That might not all be in there, it's a little long, but we want to see specialists in there. We want to see people are searching for your specific business. When you type in a search term on TikTok, much like Google, it's going to try to finish that sentence for you. Use that as more inspiration. Do we have any wedding dress specialists in here from Chicago area? Anyone? People are searching for that. People are searching, if you're in the Chicago area, you can be making content about that right now. People are searching for other locations, but this is what came up immediately when I searched wedding dress preservation. Ideas, box, DIY, alternatives. What's the alternative to getting it preserved? Talk about that. Be honest that they don't have to do it. Again, it's going to create that trust because at the end of the day, if somebody has no intention of getting it preserved, sometimes you can't make them and that's okay. But can you educate them on ways to get the most out of that dress? Maybe you can. Give them that behind the scenes content. I've said it before, I'll say it again, I will keep saying it as long as you let me. Show them what is going on. Many of you went on a plant tour yesterday. I heard about all the processes that went into it. People have been talking to me about it. Show that. Show your plant. Show the machines that people are using. Show the people that are working. Tell the stories about your employees. The person that focuses on getting certain stains out, who are they? What are they about? What do they like to do in their spare time? How did they get into this? You mean to tell me they've been doing this for 20 years? Of course I would rather give you my dress than ship it off in a box to another company that I don't know anything about, because I know that you have experience and I can trust you to do that. Tell stories. Think about that example that I gave you about that child stuffed animal. Think about stories that you can tell. Think about stories of real experiences you've gone through. Do not be afraid to be honest. Has anyone ever brought you a dress and you couldn't fix it the way that they wanted? You couldn't get a stain out. It's okay to tell them that. People need to know. They need to know to be more careful on their wedding day. Maybe they need to know that they can't just assume that they can trash it. Can they trash it? Trash the dress is a trend. Can they even bring that to you? People want to know. They want to hear stories about things that people have done. If you were able to salvage a dress that got put in the pool at the end of the reception, tell a story about that. Multi-part series, this goes back to what I was saying about taking longer video topics and making them short. TikTok is very smart. It knows when people were interested in something, and it will bring them back for the next part. You could make a whole series about how to get out stains on your wedding day. I would recommend this. If you're looking for a place to start on your content, talk about how to be prepared to get stains out on your wedding day. Talk about red wine stains. I've been seeing so many TikTok videos lately on bringing a bar of Ivory soap to get out of your dress. Talk about if there's benefit to that. Is that true? Can we debunk that? I don't know. I've only known what I see on TikTok. And if it's on TikTok, it must be true, right? Like but be honest. We talk about those things. What can we come back to that's talking about the same topic, that's shedding light on that same topic in a different way? TikTok's going to recognize that that's part of a series. They're going to bring people back for the next part. Post content that looks like it belongs on TikTok. This looks like several things. Please remove watermarks from other videos before you post them on TikTok. I cannot stress this enough. If you're posting on Reels and you're like, I have so much video content over there, can I post that to TikTok? Yes, you can. That will help you get your TikTok off the ground. But find a third-party app. Search for watermark removal websites so you can feed your video through that. Get rid of that. It's not going to look like it belongs there, and people are going to see that, and they're not going to like it. The algorithms are not going to push it out. Same way, back, people like to make TikTok videos, put them on Instagram. Get a third-party app, get that watermark removed at a bare minimum. Do not post things like, I dug really deep, right, in TikTok on all kinds of conversations about wedding dress cleaning and preservation, and when I was able to find a few. There were some dry cleaners out there that had videos, and I was finding that a lot of people were putting like sparkly gifts and filters that were shimmery because they're like, look, it's clean. No, people aren't doing that on TikTok, and they don't want to see that. I want to know what that dress actually looks like. So scroll through TikTok, spend some time, fall down the rabbit hole. It's really easy to do. Watch some video content and see what videos look like. If yours stands out in a way that it shouldn't, like with GIFs, people aren't using GIFs on TikTok. They're not. So if you have that, it doesn't look like it fits. People are going to scroll right past it pretty quickly. Get your content in front of the right audience. How do we do that? We've identified that the majority of TikTok is in our audience, but I don't want to waste my view count on people who already had their dress preserved and they're all done and they've got their specialist that they like, that they know they'll bring other outfits back to, and they're all set. I don't want to waste my time with them. They don't need me. Collaborate. This is where your in-person relationships can really benefit you online. What content can you make with other vendors in your area? Is there a local bridal shop that already is maybe recommending clients to you, or you'd like to have a relationship with them but you don't yet? Are they making content on TikTok? How can we use their content? There's a lot of features on TikTok, and we'll talk a little bit more about them, but there's ways to duet videos where your video and their video go side by side. There's ways to use their video as an intro into your video. There's different ways to collaborate, but if they're talking about the latest dress that they just got, and it's beautiful and it's beaded and it's got crystals and it's gorgeous, make a video about that dress and talk about how you would clean that. Say, if you go and you buy this dress, we'll see you in a year, 6 months, whenever after they've gotten married, come in. We're going to take care of that. We are able to make sure that those beads stay on, or that that material gets cleaned, or how do you handle after it's been bustled? Can you take that down and fix that? Collaborate with the people around you and treat others as you want to be treated. This is the third most important thing that I want you to take away. We have 3 takeaways today. I said there was only one, get your handle, but this is the third. This is so important. People put content on social media of all kinds. This is not just TikTok. You put your content up there and you wait. And sometimes it's crickets and you're like, why did nobody like that? Why did nobody start following me? Why did nobody comment on that? But ask yourself how much time you're spending doing that back. Are you commenting on other wedding professionals' posts? Are you commenting on local business owners' posts? Are you doing online networking in that way? Are you showing love the way you want people to show love back to you? A lot of times the answer is no. And I know that it's so hard. We don't want to spend all our time on social media. We don't want to be doing that engagement. But there is as much value in that engagement as there is in the content that you're posting. Sometimes I will go several days without posting something, but I will have still gotten engagement because I've been commenting with other people. Maybe that conversation is happening in the comments on their posts, not on mine, but we're talking, we're building those relationships. I'm showing you that I value you as a business the way that you want people to show you that they value you as well. Use the features that TikTok offers. I mentioned stitching, which is when you take somebody's video and it leads into your video and you create a response. Duets, the same thing. Find videos that are already on the platform, create responses. Maybe somebody asked a question. There are a few ways you can respond to questions on TikTok directly. So maybe somebody got up there and they were like, I found my mom's dress from 1991. We'll use that example. I found my mom's dress in the closet. What should I do with it? And there are going to be responses in the comments. People are going to be giving their recommendations. That's where you chime in. You stitch that video with the question, and then you create your video and you say, if you want to preserve that and wear it yourself or turn it into something different that you want to wear on a regular basis, you can bring that into us. Here's what we're going to do to it. Here's how we're going to make it less yellow. Here's what the parts that we can salvage from that. Maybe we can't salvage all of it because it's been sitting in a closet for 30-something years, but we can salvage part of that and turn it into something. Give them information. Give them answers. If people ask you questions in the comment section of your own videos, that is gold. That is free content because TikTok allows you to take that question, make it a little sticker up on your video, and then you just freely talk and answer that question. People have just given you free content ideas. We want people to be asking questions in your comment section. We want them to be saying, hey, I have X, Y, and Z. I have this kind of dress. I have 2 dresses because that's a trend now, right? People are changing for their reception. Double the business. Talk about, they might ask you, can I get both of these preserved? Do you offer a bundle package for that? Do you offer something that you can accommodate what they're doing? If they're asking questions, make sure you are always answering them and using the same platform to do that. Don't ever say, go to my website, or I have visit this link. That doesn't look appropriate on TikTok. People aren't posting URLs in the comments. Keep the people on TikTok. When you try to push them off the platform, same with any social media, if you say, go to the link in my bio, or go visit me here, social media channels of any kind, they don't like that. They want people to stay there with them. And especially on TikTok, you want people to stay there with you. You want them to learn from you there. Don't just post a few videos and never post again. I see people do that so often. They're like, TikTok didn't work for me. I posted 3 videos, I got no response. Waste of time. It's like any social media. You did not get 1,000 Instagram followers overnight, maybe not even in a couple years. It takes time. It takes time on TikTok like it takes time anywhere else. We need to be using what they're giving us. We need to be answering those questions. We need to be creating content that connects with our audience. So let's recap what we talked about today, and then I'm happy to answer any questions that we have. Millennials and Gen Z are using TikTok. We know this to be true. We did the math. We talked about the stats. They are searching for weddings. I expect that number to go up every year as more of Gen Z is getting to marrying age. This is the perfect time. You are not too late. Sometimes people say, am I too late for TikTok? Did I miss it when it was in this huge wave during COVID when everyone was home and we were just watching videos for hours, and now we're back to work and who has time for that? You did not miss it. You may feel like you're late because it's not what it once was, but I can promise you I could be back in this room a few years from now, and if you're still not on TikTok, you are going to feel very late because people are using it. Businesses are continuing to make accounts, and businesses are still figuring it out. Even the biggest businesses that have all of the ad dollars and all of the teams, they're still figuring it out. We're all learning. But the best way to learn is to be on the platform, to connect with the people who are looking for you. I want to be able to go on TikTok and find you all very soon because I don't want to keep finding those big box companies. And as much as I love watching cleaning videos on TikTok, I don't want people to keep cleaning their wedding dresses in their bathtub if they shouldn't. Communicate your brand values, get transparent, create that trust, be inclusive, educate yourself on what Gen Z is looking for when it comes to inclusivity and transparency. Be honest, pull back that curtain on your business. Let them see what goes on in the back room with your dress. Do not be afraid to show what it is. I know we get so protective of our structures in our business and we don't want to give anything away. It doesn't matter what kind of business you have, it feels like this is what I've worked so hard for and I feel like these are my secrets that I don't want to share. But that is what's building the trust. People aren't going to come and say, oh, I could do this myself. They're going to see all the work that you're putting into this and be like, I could not do this myself. I could not do this in my bathtub. Could not get it the way that you're getting it, that you're preserving it, that you're packaging it. Create content that's educational and has a takeaway. I've said that before, I'll say it again. We want people to learn something from your videos. I also have a QR code. We love a QR code. If you scan this or you go to emilyrochot.com/AWGS, you will find I have a free checklist on there. You'll get an email with an access to a checklist that has all the points you want to check off before you post a TikTok to make sure that it's fully optimized, that's going to perform well on the platform. My slides are on there and I have a variety of other resources for you. I have a promotion going on right now for conference attendees that I have 365 TikTok ideas already made out for you. You just have to get it and you're all set for a year, over a year. We don't need to reinvent the wheel. People want answers to the questions that are being asked. I found them for you. So there's a lot of resources on there that you can get, and I am happy to answer any questions. I think Kermit has the microphone, and he'll bring it around. And I know Kyle had a question back there earlier. I don't know if you still have the same question or if I answered it. Okay. Anyone? Yeah. Oh.
I have a couple. One about formatting. I saw something recently about TikTok wants its content creators to go horizontal. Is that something that you're recommending? Or?
Great question. Do we want horizontal videos? So TikTok is testing out. There's benefits to both, right? There's benefits to staying to things that we know because we're afraid of change and people still want to consume vertical content. But there's benefits to letting the platforms test things and be the person they test with. So there's benefits to both. What he's asking is, there's horizontal video that people post that just takes up this small percentage of a screen because it doesn't fill the full screen. TikTok is doing a lot of experiments right now with getting people to turn their phone and watch content the way you would watch YouTube content. And I think if I had to venture a guess, it's because they're wanting to get so much of that content that people aren't constantly turning it back. I've seen people have little icons on there that indicate they want you to turn the phone, but I think TikTok wants to be able to keep people that way because nobody wants that kind of user experience. So there is benefit to it, but not in a way that you'll be behind if you don't try it and not in a way that you'll be behind if you do try it. Everything is just about measuring how it works. What may work for other people may not work for you. And so you may get great success if you already have a lot of horizontal video content. Use it, try it out. See what TikTok, what people are feeling about it. Is it getting a lot of good engagement? But also be posting vertical videos and see how those are performing. And maybe TikTok is like, yeah, we really do want more of this horizontal video. Now you know this, you've seen how it's engaged. So I would try it, especially if you already have that content more than you have other vertical video content.
So as a new business, right? Mm-hmm. The algorithm is set on like the target audience of the Gen Z, right? And like they're scrolling through whatever it is. How easy or difficult is it going to be for us to target that person if they're not looking at wedding gown, couture, dry clean, things like that? Like, because that's something that I have a difficult time with on my Instagram account, targeting that. How do you do that on TikTok?
Amazing, amazing, amazing question. Several ways that we can get eyeballs on our videos. The first is giving TikTok as much information to work with as possible. Always closed caption your videos. Always always, forever. Not only is that accessible, and that is key, we want people to be able to consume our content, but it gives TikTok more words to pull off of. It gives them keywords, it gives them information. Use hashtags. Much like Instagram, hashtags are a thing on TikTok. Don't flood it with a bunch, but I would say like 3 to 9 is a good amount, not just on the preservation, but general wedding terms, because they might not be even thinking about the preservation right now. They're just like, I don't even have a dress. What do I want? So things like wedding dress shopping, wedding planning, things in your area. If you are heavily focused on serving your area and not a national market, there are location stickers that you can add, like on Instagram, there's a location tag. Use those, not all the time, but I would put those in, especially if you're showing like your physical location. That's showing the algorithm, that's training the algorithm too, because that might push people out in your local area that maybe don't need that, but they know somebody who does. Don't get upset if you find that your video isn't 100% reaching the people that it needs to, because maybe it reached somebody who's like, I don't need this, but my best friend's getting married and she really needs this. So I would play into their features as much as possible, but take time to go out and find them. That's the other side of this, right? Like we said, treat others how you want to be treated. Go find them. Look what they're searching for. Search terms for 2025 wedding planning. Go comment on people's videos, people who are currently planning a wedding. There are so many people who become TikTok influencers because they talk about planning their own wedding. People want to know. They want that insider information from people who have actually done it. So that's another way. Influencer campaigns, we could talk about that too. If you have somebody in your local area that isn't a social media influencer, you could partner with them. Actually, one of the big videos on TikTok and Instagram right now is a dry cleaner. I believe he's based in New York, and he did an influencer campaign, and somebody brought their video and brought their dress, and she made a video and talked about the process. So that's another way that you could do it too. Any other questions?
Is there geo-targeting with TikTok?
There is geo-targeting. So much like this question, we can use location tags on there. You can tag the location. I would put geo-tags in your hashtags as well. So much like the example that I showed where it was wedding dress preservation in Chicago, put hashtags like that in your caption as well. Use those location keywords whenever possible in your caption that you write. You might say, we're preservation located. We offer preservation located in wherever you're located. But search your town and local areas hashtags on there as well. Engage with that content. What are people posting in your area? Is there a local business that you could team up with to create content with? Maybe the local, I don't know, pick a local store in your area. Maybe they're actually really big on TikTok. There are some local businesses that are huge on TikTok, and you may not realize because to you it's just the shop down the street. But see if there's a way that you can collab. Find other vendors on the platform and use them. I find that people are not giving the same respect on TikTok that they're giving for other platforms on social media. So tagging other vendors, tagging people they've worked with, do that too. Make sure that you're giving credit where credit's due and finding people that you can collaborate with. So those are a few ways, making sure you're putting those geographic terms in the video as much as possible. Any other questions? If you don't have them now, I will have a roundtable later. We can talk all about Gen Z and TikTok as much as you want.
Anything else? Well, thank you very much.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.